Hello folks, welcome back to some more Hobby Nightmares. Let's jump in, shall we? Because we've got a long one today, or a longer one than we've had all week, because my issues at home are finally starting to clear up, shall we say, and get a bit more simple. So I've got a bit more time to sit down and actually go through some good Hobby Nightmares, and have some more time to read them. So, if you like what I do, the Patreon is down below. Head over there if you want to buy me a pint over the weekend or something like that, if you like what I do. So, let's move on. And Vass says, "Hi North, I recently discovered your channel and I'm definitely enjoying your work. You're great at what you do." Thank you very much, man. "I have a hobby nightmare that's more about my friend rather than me. It involves somebody in a tournament that took WYSIWYG." If those of you who don't know what WYSIWYG is, it's what you see is what you get, which is basically when somebody asks you, what weapons does your model have? You point to the model and go, whatever it looks like it has. If it looks like it's got a power sword, that's what it's got. Do you know what I mean? So what you see is what you get. Alright, it involves somebody in a tournament that took WYSIWYG a little bit too far and too personally, and was a complete ARSC. I can't say that word because we are not long enough into the video. "I entered a tournament in a town over from my own. An RTT. I think that's a regional tournament, right? At a small hobby store with 20 players in total. I'd entered not thinking I'd bump into anybody I knew, but I saw somebody from my own hobby store I hadn't spoken to a lot or played before, but still knew. We all know him as Slaaneshi Bard. He has 3 armies. Emperor's Children, Chaos Knights, and Guard. He's made as Traitor Guard, and you guessed it, they are all Slaanesh themed. That's fine. We talked for a bit until the tournament got underway. My first opponent was a super chill Tyranid player named Casper. He complimented my painting skills, which really meant a lot to me, as I don't see myself as a big painting kind of guy. It really put me in a good mood for our game." Well, guys, that just should show you how easy it is to get off on the good foot, you know what I mean? "After a bloody battle, Casper's space bugs of death were defeated by my 1,000 Suns. 89 points to 77. A hard-fought battle indeed. He congratulated me on a good game, and we talked a little bit before the next round. My next opponent was a chunky neckbeard called Dave, not his real name, of course. He was a Space Wolves player, who took one look at my 1,000 Suns army and scoffed. The whole way through the game, he wouldn't stop gloating about how superior Leman Russ is to Magnus the Red, and was just being an all-round douche canoe. He made the game totally unfun, measuring moves I'd made and double-checking my charge distances, etc. And what's worse, he completely bodied me and won the game with a score to 98 to 48. He gloated some more and kept saying how 1,000 Suns players should just buy a new army, as nobody likes them anyway. Also saying that me and similar players were beneath him, quote-unquote, and I shouldn't have come to a big boy tournament." Okay, well, again, we've not had a Space Wolf player like this for quite some time on the channel, right? Well, this used to be a meme on the channel, for those of you who don't know, because I know we've got a lot of new people coming in, which is great. We used to have Space Wolf players in our stories here on Hobby Nightmares who kept being referenced, who were just the worst. Sort of like a Biff Tannen from back, definitely a Biff Tannen kind of guy who would just come in, call your army shit because it's not Space Wolves. Especially if you're 1,000 Suns, they would make a target of you and actually go after you and try and ruin your day, that kind of thing. Not great, you know what I mean? It just isn't great, and that just shows how some parts of the hobby are generally not very nice, because they've taken something from the lore that Games Workshop didn't mean. Games Workshop just said, oh, how do we get Magnus onto the side of Chaos? Oh, maybe we'll use the Space Wolves, right? They've taken that and said, no, that gives us an excuse to bully other players. It doesn't. You're a douche. Go away. Anyway, I'd talk about my third game, but more interesting was what happened on the next table to me. Dave had been paired up with Slaaneshi Bard. Okay, here we go. This is going to be good. Okay, so I've misread Bard as Brad. Sorry, Brad as Bard. So it's Slaaneshi Brad. Okay, fair enough. After saying he was going to win the tournament easily after looking at his army, Dave was telling Brad that some of his models were not tournament legal. For context, Brad has a few squads of Chosen. He was playing as Emperor's Children, and he's replaced all their melee weapons with the Age of Sigmar Wrathmonger hammers as accursed weapons. I've attached a picture of them. Okay, I'll have to see if I can find it, dude, because I'm on my laptop today. I'll try and find it a bit later on, okay? Gotta carry on with the Hobby Nightmare. Brad asks what's wrong with them? Those weapons aren't from the Games Workshop box of Chaos Chosen. Verbatim, Dave says. Brad replies, "It just says accursed weapon on the loadout, mate. That could mean anything. Hell, I could slap a 12-inch pink dildo." Of course he goes there, Mr. Slanesh, do you know what I mean, as his first example. Hell, I could slap a 12-inch pink dildo in their hands and call them accursed weapons if I wanted. Dave gets irate. "No, you have to use the weapons from the box." Brad just says something along the lines of, "Whatever, dude, shall we roll for deployment?" Dude, this Dave is a fucking arsehole. Dave isn't finished, as he has an issue with one of Brad's other models. Brad is a conversion master. I've attached a video I took of his model at the tournament when I arrived. As an ally, he brought a Chaos Knight Desecrator, and built a makeshift stage, a noise marine with a guitar rifle on top, and a working Bluetooth speaker, and it was cool as fuck. Alright, I've got to see this, I'm sorry. I'm going to hold up the video, I've got to see this. This is not even... Okay, I'm on my laptop, so you have to bear with me, guys, alright? Bear with me. But I just have to see this. This is something... The ram has touched the wall here, I need to see. Okay. There we go, there's the video. Right, now upload that, and we've got this. Okay, here we go. Media source. Boom. Boom. And here we go. Dude, he's serious? I'm going to turn off my music 1 second. Are you serious? Do that again. That is so cool. Sorry, that is so cool. I love that. That's great. That is great. Well done to you. I just got the noise marine on top. Dude, that is sensational. That is sensational. Well done. Right, let's carry on. Dave accused him of modelling for advantage and reported Brad to the tournament organiser. The tournament organiser said he'd already cleared it with Brad before the day started over email and it was fine. Dave was in a huff, but they started the game anyway. All the while, Dave is constantly insulting Brad's paintwork, his conversion, and saying stuff like, "I don't know why anybody who wants to play Chaos anyway. There are much better factions out there." Brad bit his tongue and just started the game. I didn't hear a lot as I was concentrating on my own game, but with 50 minutes left on the clock, I hear a huge, "Oh, fuck off!" Me and my opponent looked over to see what that was all about. It turns out Dave's Bjorn the Fell-Handed had missed an easy charge the previous turn and was left in the open. Brad's Desecrator was now directly in front of it. After putting up with Dave's shit, I think he'd gotten annoyed as in his shooting phase, he blasted the Doom soundtrack from his Slaneshi Knight and obliterated Bjorn off the table. Dave started to autistically. I'm autistic myself, and I'm allowing myself to say it, so fuck you if you're already in the comments having a go at me. Good lad. Good lad. The TO and everybody else was looking at this point, as Dave was having his moment. Brad had begun his charge phase. He charged the same Chosen Dave had moaned about, and had Dave's last models on the board. 2 Terminators and a Wolf Lord. The Chosen absolutely tore them to bits, tabling Dave. Dave's face could not get any redder. Brad simply looks at him calmly and says, checkmate. Oh my god. Oh my god. Dave takes his models and leaves the store red-faced without saying a word or staying for the tournament results. I won my 3rd game, and actually came away with a 5th place out of 20. My best tournament result. Brad came in 2nd, being beaten overall by an Eldari player. Surprise, surprise. After this, I played with Brad regularly at my local store, and he's been a good mate ever since. I thought about leaving the hobby briefly due to financial issues, but he talked me out of it, and we play friendly games on the regular. As for Dave, apparently he hasn't entered a tournament at his hobby store since. Brad went into a grand tournament there last month, and said Dave wasn't there, and apparently asked about him, and got told his hobby group doesn't do tournaments in the area anymore because he was cheated by an advantaged modelling prick. Wow. So he's literally just stopped doing the hobby altogether. Well, dude, the hobby's better off without him. Just don't worry about it. Move on. Thanks for reading, North. Hope you enjoyed the story. Sorry there wasn't too much detail, but as I said, it was while I was playing another game, but it was the closest I've had to a hobby nightmare. Kind regards, Vass. No worries, man. No worries. Jim says, "Hello, North. You can call me Jim. I've been a long-time listener and decided to finally write in. I'm writing to you to tell my story of how I was a hobby nightmare." Oh, how you were a hobby nightmare. Okay. This is going to be interesting. P.S. I apologise for any writing errors or inconsistent writing, as I'm writing this on my phone, and in general, I'm not a good writer. Okay. It all starts in Texas, but before we get into the main story, I'd like to give some context. Growing up, my father was almost never home, due to him being in the military. He was always a great father when I was younger, and he was home when we would play Warhammer and paint and build models together. But after his last few deployments, he became very physically and verbally abusive. This happened when I was a teenager. Eventually, this led to him having a police standoff holding me and my family hostage at gunpoint. My parents divorced. That's a tragedy, mate. That's not nice. I know everyone's going to have a go at the dad there, but sometimes a man reaches his limit of seeing things they can't unsee. Do you know what I mean? And, yeah, that's horrible all round. This happened when I was 18. To say the least, I was a very angry person. I moved out and kept working at my job that I had since I was 14. I split an apartment with some roommates eventually, and I began to get back into Warhammer again. I think it was 7th edition at the time. I decided to start a Tau army. I bought the Start Collecting box and some crisis suits and broadsides. At this local shop, there was a fucking sweatbeard you can call Dave. Oh my god, the Daves are getting a pounding today. Dave played Space Wolves. Is this the same guy? Has he just gone to another store? Has he just gone to another store? What is going on? I know it's a trope, but it's true. This isn't a dig at Space Wolf players. Dude, if you're a Space Wolf player called Dave and you're listening to this, I'm so sorry. Alright? We're not kicking you while you're down. Being new, Dave challenged me to a game. Throughout the entire game, Dave kept coming up with BS rules, adding saves to his Centurions, and after a 2,000 point battle, I had claimed literally 0 kills, whilst Dave had tabled me on round 3. On top of that, Dave kept making little sneer remarks at me being a Tau player. This is the same guy! It's got to be the same guy! No, it isn't. Obviously it isn't. But, oh my god. In my head canon, I so want this to be the same guy. And every time he killed a unit of mine, he would make a sickening little hee noise. So I packed up and left the store. About a week later, I returned at 1 PM on a Tuesday. I worked nights. And the only person in the store was Dave. And he challenged me again. And, like an idiot, I accepted. And the antics began again. Sneer remarks and non-stop gloating. This time, though, I challenged him. I asked to see his codex. At this point, it was round 2, and he had lost no units at all. He refused, stating, "I don't want someone else touching my codex." So I went to the shelf, grabbed the Space Wolf codex, and told the owner, Bill, to ring it up. When I started walking back with my new Space Wolf codex, Dave was already starting to pack his shit. Yeah, mate, you have literally... That is the big ball bluff call there. You've got the money. You're doing quite well for yourself. You go, do you know what? It's worth the £30 just to annihilate this piece of shit. You know what I mean? Just to absolutely spread those cheeks. I'm going to go and buy one of these codexes. Well done to you, man. The sight of him trying to scuttle away made me furious. I lost my shit. I threw the book at him and started swearing and calling him a cheater and every other derogatory names that I could think of. I wanted so badly in the moment to smash his army. Instead, I hit the table so hard, the folding legs collapsed and all the terrain on my army went flying. Oh no. Oh no, dude. Listen, there's a full paragraph to go, so I'm going to read that in a minute. But I know what it's like to have this kind of anger explosion. I used to have them all the time. And with my family situation the past week, for the first time in a long time, those feelings have come back to me, where I've nearly lost it. I've nearly punched a wall. I've nearly put my foot through a door. You know, that kind of a thing. And I've not been that guy for 5, 6, maybe 7 years. You know what I mean? Therapy's gotten that out of me. And I've been really chill and really cool and doing so well. This last week has really pushed me to the point where I've nearly been there again, you know? So I understand what you mean in that you lash out at an object, not at a person. I've never hit a person, and I doubt you have either. Do you know what I mean? Out of anger. Never. Because that's a slippery slope, dude. You never do that, you right? But inanimate objects, I used to kick the shit out of them all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like, if something really hurt me emotionally, or really got to me, you know, doors, walls, you know, anything that looked breakable, you know, it wouldn't happen every day. It would happen like once every couple of months. I'd just lose it, because something would really go for me. And I'd just completely lose my shit. So I understand what you mean, and there's nothing worse than doing something like that in the spur of the moment, because you need an outlet for that rage feeling inside of you, and it goes straight away. As soon as you've hit that thing and you've unleashed what you're doing, it goes straight away. This is why I say to people who have those issues, right? Don't learn how to box, because that's just going to lead you down a road, because you need to sort your anger out first. But definitely go to a gym and hit the punching bag. Or buy a punching bag. Buy a punching bag and go and kick the shit out of it. Get it out of your system. Because you do feel better afterwards. But sometimes the results of like this, you know, it's not great, is it? And you're probably going to get banned from the store. But let's see. Let me take a sip of tea, then we'll finish this hobby nightmare. Alrighty. Looking back, I feel sick and so ashamed and embarrassed, and I acted like that over a game that was supposed to be fun, and in a store that had an amazing owner. I was kicked out of the store, to say the least, and I felt terrible packing up all my stuff and being told to leave by Bill, the store owner. Years later, I returned to that store. I apologised to Bill and offered to buy his store terrain. Bill laughed and said it was fine, but at the time, he told me he didn't kick me out. If he didn't kick me out, I was going to be the only one seeing red. He let me back in his store, and I am eternally grateful. I have since made a great group of friends gaming in the store. My father received help, and me as well, and we have a great relationship again. That's my hobby nightmare. I have more, but we will start with the one that is not the most cringe. Of my troubled dickhead youth. Anyways, thanks for reading, and North, stay safe, stay frosty. Thank you very much, man. Yeah, that is anger that's come from, you know, your dad, I think. That's where that's come from, okay? And that's nothing to be ashamed of. That guy deserved a slap around the chops, let's be honest. But it's good that you found an outlet and you sorted your problems out, and very proud of you, so well done to you. Right, next hobby nightmare. The Grey says, hey North. Okay. Before I read this last one, I have read this one earlier this week, and I did have a bit of a tear in my eye, but not because it's really sad, but because YouTube's weird. Like, things that seem to go on in my life, all of a sudden I'll get a hobby nightmare that closely resembles what's going on. It's bloody strange. I've said it before in the past where I've had really bad things going on in my life, and at that time, YouTube will come in and push my channel, and it'll go through the roof for a little while. And I'll be like, oh, well, how has that happened? You know what I mean? And it's weird. It just seems to happen. Whenever things get hard, YouTube steps in and gives my channel some growth. Something completely independent from YouTube can go wrong and cause me misery, and YouTube will step in and start making my channel get more views. I don't know why it happens. I don't know what it is. But there we are. And every now and again, something will happen in my life, and then I'll get a hobby nightmare, either the week before or the week after, that is very like that. Or maybe I'm reading into it. I don't know. Because this isn't totally like my situation, but it does resemble it. So, let's read it, right? So, this is from the Grey. Thank you for sending this in, man. Very, very brave of you to do so. So, let's read it. Hey, North. Not a super long one today, but I just wanted to get some advice, as to be honest, I'm losing my grip on my hobby entirely, and it is wrecking my mind. So, a little backstory. Years ago, I had a son with a woman I'd known for all of 3 weeks. It's a typical story, but there we are. I got access to my son. That's great, man. Despite my ex wanting me nowhere near her, as she wanted the baby and the benefits that come with that from the government, and not me. And to be honest, things, after a while, started to work out. I have a very good job as an airline engineer that I love, and things are going really well. I rediscovered my hobby, something that I really loved as a kid, and threw myself into designing my own Eldar craft world from the ground up, and painting up a really cool looking army. That's awesome, man. Again, similar to my situation. The mother of my child didn't want my family around either, for no reason. Because she wanted the baby and the benefits that come with that, but none of the strings, like, in-laws and a father. Moving on. I'd go to events and I'd fantasize about one day taking my son to such a tournament, getting him into the hobby and the cool side of models. As he got to 10 years old, I could see that time soon approaching. Ooh. But I could also see issues. His mother was neglecting him, going off with weirder and weirder dudes, and generally not giving him the good, the food he needed or the medicine he needed. In short, she didn't really give a shit about him, and he was left alone at home for days at a time. I thought she would improve with therapy, and I would always go round to the house to make sure he was okay when she was not there. At one stage, I had to break and enter the house to make sure that he was not doing something silly to himself whilst his mother was gone. She called the cops on me for this, and I ended up having to go to court and straighten things out. But this year, a court order had my son removed from her care and placed with me. This may seem like a happy ending, but my son has been traumatised by his mother's care. I need to be here around the clock, looking after him and ensuring he is put on the right path, and I am at the end of my energy. My work hours are going down, and in general, I'm feeling very miserable and like my life is on hold right now. I must say, the first thing out the window were my hobbies. My models sit there unused and growing dust as my son grows more distant and not understanding why he can't see his mom anymore. I am just at the end of my rope here, dude. What the ever-loving fuck do I do? Grey. Alright. Again, maybe the universe brings us together for a reason. Because I've recently gone through, this week in fact, not the same thing as you, but something mildly similar, right? I'm not going to go into it, it's family stuff, but it's been heavy as fuck. And some of the shit I've had to read and go over and come to terms with and step up to, right, as a dad, have been really, really, really fucking hard this week. I'm not going to lie, this week from Monday to Friday has probably been one of the hardest weeks of my life. Alright? So when I give you this advice, I'm not giving you it out of some dude at a bar like I normally do. This is I've gone through similar things, okay? What you need to do, alright, is introduce your son to your hobby. That is what you need to do. Don't bring it to him and say, hey, isn't this cool? Do it in front of him. Get your models out. Get your paints out. Start doing the hobby. Put lore videos on in the background that are easy to follow. Where's Hammer's good for that, right? Put things on that are going to inspire this child to want to get into the hobby. You said before that he looked like he was getting into it and he liked it, right? You know, that he was getting to that age where he was starting to like it. Well, now's the time. Start filtering in those aspects of the hobby to him, around him all the time. If you're not in work all that time and you're looking after him, find ways to cope with it. It's not great, I know, but just find little victories that you can do. One of them is making sure you're using the time off from work to do your hobby. Make sure you're in touch with work and they know what's going on. Do not keep this to yourself and then wonder why you lose your job. Work have to know every sordid little detail. I'm telling you now, right? Go to your HR department, go to your boss and tell them everything. Alright? Leave out some of the gory details, but give them the gist. Right? The in-depth gist of what's going on. They will be on your side, dude. And if they're not, get another job. Okay? That sounds horrible. But if they're not on your side and they're willing to sack you for this, then you shouldn't be there anyway. Because this was coming. Alright? You've got skills. Go and apply somewhere else. But they will. They will be on your side. Okay? You seem like... They seem like a good company from what you've said, because we've exchanged another email, which was quite nice, last night, which was nice. I would definitely go to your job and make sure they know the ins and outs of what's going on. Take bereavement leave, take emergency leave, whatever you need to do to get your son on an even keel. Right, then, if you're in the UK, go to social services. Make sure you're going to social services and you make sure that all of your rights are being attended to. And if you can't do that, go to a family lawyer, ask social services to pay for your legal aid, and they will, right? And have your family lawyer look through your rights. You will have rights to money from the government. You will have rights to have childminders come over to your house. You will have rights for therapy for you and your son to start getting the ball rolling on that. There are all sorts of things you can do in the UK to make sure that your son's being cared for properly. Nobody's saying to you that you need to take all this on your own, okay? They know you're not a full-time dad and it's been dropped on you. It happened to me, alright? They know. Go out there, there's lots of advice and there's lots and lots and lots of people out there who can help you. If you're in the States, I don't know, because it changes state by state. Okay, it does change state by state. All I know is Illinois, and there's a 1 in 50 chance that you're in Illinois, okay? But look into what your rights are. If you have a social services type of place where you go and they can look at your rights and what you need from the government and what you need from the state to help you raise this child, do it. Do it. Take some of the weight off your own shoulders. Men do this all the time. That they put all the weight on their shoulders. They have the weight on the world on there because they don't want anybody else to be inconvenienced by their stuff that's going on. They don't ask for help. But dude, you need to swallow your pride and do what's right for your son. What's right for your son is you getting help. What's right for your son is you having fun with your hobby. And you being able to lay down the burden every once in a while to go to work. That's what's right for your son. Okay? So that's what I would do. Start the ball rolling. But make sure you introduce your son to the hobby. I'm telling you now. You've said to me that your son has been interested in the hobby. Dude, it's a ready-made bonding experience. Alright? Do it. Absolutely do it. Don't lose sight of your hobby. Make sure you're doing it in front of your son and that he can see what you're doing and you can bond over that. Make sure you know what your rights are. Make sure you know who can help you in your local government. In the UK, it's insanely easy, right? You go to a family lawyer, you get a social worker, you go to your family lawyer, and you connect the two. They pay for your legal aid, and they give you the right advice and take you to the right people who can get you help. Okay? They will pay for your son's tutoring, they will pay for your son's therapy, they will pay for everything. Because children come first. So make sure you do that, okay? Alright. I love you a long time. I will speak to you very, very, very soon. Probably on Monday. But I might be back over the weekend. We will see. I love you all. I'm going to go see June 2 tonight. So hopefully that's pretty cool with the missus. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And I'll speak to you soon. Have a good one. Bye now.